We wouldn't be talking about kitchen design if it were not for appliances. I recently caught up with Steve from Yale Appliances for another conversation about kitchens. And I asked him for 3 ways that you can have a unique but timeless kitchen aesthetic. In this video, I'm going to show you his thoughts from an appliance perspective and 3 of my own thoughts about timeless design to tie everything together.
How do you make something timeless yet unique is the way I took this, right? And for me, if you want to make something unique to you, is put a pop of color in. I think the range and maybe the hood is a great way of doing it. You can put whatever color you want. The natural hues like blue and green kind of like survive longer than the reds and yellows. But if you want to do that same thing and say, God, I don't want another white, gray kitchen with all stainless appliances, put a pop of color. And that changes the whole dynamic of everything and stays within that kind of timeless design. So really from an appliance standpoint, I'm more limited. But I would say put a pop in, make it on the range. I know True has got refrigerators that have that racing car finish where you can make that stand out as well. But I think one appliance, whether it's traditionally the range, because that's where you and I kind of centralize it mostly for most people, that's what I would do. You know, the Blue Star's got 1,000 colors. Those tend to be a little bit more expensive. Certainly La Cornue tops it at tens of thousands of dollars, and they have 50 colors and the ability to customize. And then you've got the Italian ranges, which I don't typically recommend, like a Bertazzoni or Verona, which, you know, are beautiful, not as functional products that you can buy in that $2,000 to $3,000 standpoint. So it doesn't have to cost a lot either. And I always recommend the range because your eye is drawn to the central part of your kitchen. And that's typically where the cooking actually is. And that's what I typically recommend.
When it comes to designing a unique and timeless kitchen, the conversation has to start with a functional layout. You can spend hours finding the right colors, textures, materials, appliances, accessories, etc. But if your kitchen doesn't function, you'll have what I often call a beautiful mess. And this must be avoided at all costs. So the first thing you need to do is address the layout and unique design to make sure that the kitchen functions for you, the user, or whoever the user will be. This will cover things like layout, clearances, work zones, appliance placements, storage, counter space, accessibility, movement efficiency, lighting, and much more. Once we have a design that is functional, the pops of color with a range or the color with the custom range hood will now add so much to the design and glue your dream kitchen together. You may not be ready for a green range, so this next idea from Steve may work to your advantage.
In terms of the appliances, like you can go stainless, you can go color. But if you're really confused about stainless and color, there's a third option that I really like, and that's just put panels on. You panelize these integrated refrigerators so you can't tell the difference between a panel and the refrigerator. I think it's really smart, very tasteful, very unique, and very timeless. Same with the dishwasher. Now in the dishwasher, you got to worry because, you know, the Europeans don't stick out, so it looks like a cabinet. The Americans, you know, the KitchenAids and the G's stick out by like a couple inches, so it looks like a dishwasher with a panel stuck on it, right? But the more that you can actually integrate within that kitchen design is unique, really stylish, very understated, very attractive, and extremely timeless, I think.
Speaking of stylish, understated, and attractive, there are 2 specific elements that you can add to any kitchen to guarantee a timeless look with endless options for unique application. Simply add either wood or stone, or preferably both. It doesn't get much more timeless and beautiful than these natural elements. They'll always work with any design style, with any colored range, or any paneled appliance. It can be in permanent or temporal ways. A stone countertop is a more permanent option, whereas a sculpture can be easily changed. Wooden shelves are a great temporal addition to a kitchen in the right context, but a wooden island can last for years and years. An interior designer can help you mix a variety of wood tones for visual interest and pair warm and cool wood tones for depth, but it doesn't need to be that difficult. Just layering in some cutting boards and a potted plant can do wonders for the look and feel of your kitchen. Likewise with stone, there is a trend on the rise which involves cladding your cabinets with thin stone slabs. I've seen this done with a product called Dectin, but also with natural stones. Not only that, but you can also add stone to the back of cabinets or to the bottom of drawer boxes. It's a really, really beautiful look. So don't forget these materials when you're designing your next kitchen. There's an element of kitchen design that does not get talked about a lot. So I'm glad Steve and I had the chance to share our thoughts.
I think lighting sets the mood. We saw lighting. We were Yale Appliance and Lighting up until about 6, 7 years ago. I think lighting is huge. It's like four different types. You have to do the decorative, you got to do ambient, the up lighting, you've got to do task lighting, and you got to do accent lighting. That's what you're drawn to. And that's what I think is missing in kitchen design. You can always put a switch in, right, if you don't want it on. But I'd light everything up. And with LEDs now, with the LED tape, the smaller LEDs that pump out tons more light than they did 10 years ago, you get a really nice, well lit kitchen that's not expensive, functional, and super eye catching.
Do you remember when all you worried about was buying a 40 watt, a 60 watt, or a 100 watt light bulb? That's the extent of kitchen lighting, at least back in my day. Now there are so many elements to consider in order to properly light your kitchen. My advice for the average homeowner is to concentrate on two main simple things. Number one is lumens, and number two is CRI, or the color rendering index. And both are displayed on the front of the box when you go to buy a bulb. Lumens is the light's overall brightness. For a kitchen, consider a lumens of 50 to 70 per square foot for task purposes. There's a lot more to consider, but at least this will get you started on the right path. A CRI, or a color rendering index of 80 or above, will ensure that the light is rendering or displaying color that is closer to light from a natural source, the sun. Again, for task purposes, this is best. Steve and I continue the conversation on Yale's channel, talking about things that date your kitchen. You don't want to miss it, so check it out here. And a big thanks to the Yale team for setting this up. Make sure that you check them out on YouTube and subscribe, or go to one of their locations and buy yourself an OTR.